Hello and welcome to another A-Level Economics video with me, Mr Goff, from MrGoff.com. This video will focus on the concept of demand. In economics, demand is the willingness and ability of consumers in a market to buy a good at any given price at a particular time. It's important to note that they have to be both willing and able to be counted as part of demand. I, for instance, might quite fancy having a Ferrari, but I have neither the ability to pay for a Ferrari nor the willingness to pay that amount of money for a car. My demand is not real demand. We are only counting people who might actually buy the product. The demand curve slopes down from right to left, showing that the higher the price, the lower the demand, and the lower the price, the higher the demand. There are several reasons that contribute to why the demand curve slopes down from left to right. The first is because of the law of diminishing marginal returns that we saw before, that states that consumers get less benefit from each additional unit consumed. Therefore, it stands to reason that consumers will only buy large quantities of a product for low prices. When prices go down, then consumers can also afford to buy more of the same product. When the price of a good goes down, it is also relatively cheaper than other goods, and so people will likely buy more of the now cheaper good and less of a now relatively more expensive good. A change in price causes a movement along the demand curve. An increase in price leads to a contraction of demand. As you can see here, when the price rises from P1 to P2, there is a contraction of the quantity demanded from Q1 to Q2. Similarly, a decrease in price leads to an expansion of demand. Here in this diagram, you can see that when the price is lowered from P1 to P2, there is an expansion of demand from Q1 to Q2. Price is the only factor that causes a movement along the demand curve, but other factors can cause a shift in the demand curve. This is where the entire curve shifts either left or right. A right shift of demand means more of a product is demanded at every price. A left shift of demand means less of a product is demanded at each price. The factors that can cause a shift in the demand curve are sometimes called the conditions of demand. There are a number of factors that can affect the demand curve, and we're going to take a look at these individually right now. If average incomes rise, then consumers have more money to spend, and so demand increases. If they fall, consumers have less money to spend, and so demand decreases. Income changes can affect different goods in different ways. For instance, inferior goods may suffer when income rises because people will straight away go for a more successful and better quality product. But as incomes fall, inferior goods have their place where people need something that will make do with the limited money that they've got. At the other end of the scale, you have luxury goods. When incomes are rising, luxury goods are going to be in higher demand. When incomes are falling, luxury goods are the first things people are likely to cut back on. There are many ways that government policy can affect demand. Raising or lowering taxes has the effect of raising or lowering average disposable incomes and causing the effects we've just discussed. The demand for energy-saving products is increased by the government's Green Deal program, which offers subsidies for green energy products. These are just two examples of the many ways in which government policy affects demand across a wide range of markets. Having a product become more fashionable can bring a huge increase in demand. This has given rise to a recent role, the influencer. A top quality influencer earns a load of money for themselves while greatly increasing demand for the products that they influence for. Changing tastes can also affect demand. As recently as the 1980s, foreign foods were considered completely off the menu in the UK. But these days, all sorts of cuisines are things that people go out seeking and are likely to buy on a Friday or Saturday night. The size of the population affects the number of customers who might potentially buy a product. This affects demand both at a national and a local level. When a nation experiences a war, the population size is going to decrease. This also means that overall demand in the country will decrease as well. At a local level, if a large business in an area shuts down that provided incomes for many of the people in the area, then demand for many of the other businesses in the area may suffer as well. A successful advertising campaign can greatly increase demand for a product. Nike's Just Do It campaign is one of the most successful of all time. It's credited with helping Nike to achieve a tenfold increase in sales between 1988 and 1998. Firms also have to be wary about bad publicity, which can cause a major fall in demand. A prime example of this is Elon Musk's recent expletive-laden rant against potential advertisers on his social media company X. Whether people expect the economy to be strong or weak can affect demand. When people anticipate tough times for the economy, they are more likely to save than to spend so that they have a safety net. When the economy is strong, people are happier to spend in anticipation that they will be able to make more money. This includes taking out loans to fund further spending. Substitute goods are ones that might be chosen instead of another good. For instance, the difference between an Xbox console or a PlayStation console. If the price of one goes up, then more consumers will switch to buy the substitute good. So if an Xbox becomes more expensive, then people that would formerly have bought an Xbox might switch and buy a PlayStation. Complementary goods are goods that go together. For instance, this coffee maker and the coffee pods that go in it. If the price of a complementary good goes down, then more consumers will buy the complementary product. So if the price of the coffee maker goes down, then more people will buy the coffee pods that go inside the coffee makers. That brings us to the end of this video introducing the concept of demand. Join me in the next video when I'll be looking at the price elasticity of demand. Use the resources at mrgoff.com to help you revise economics. And until next time, it's bye for now.